Percussion Axiom TV. I'm your host, Tom Burritt, and this is episode 66. And it's been 3 weeks since the last show. Too long. It's nice to be back with you guys. I miss you. And finals are over, and things can move forward now, which is great. I'm really looking forward to this summer, and hopefully we'll have more time to do this sort of thing, have the show, and some other stuff too. So I thought to get things back on track here, I would go back and do a show sort of in the theme of the way Percussion Axiom TV started. You know, one of the reasons I started doing this was I'm really interested in pedagogy and the process of teaching. And, not too long ago, it sort of came across to me that I think really there isn't that much difference between the effort you put into teaching and the effort you put into performing, and how really when you're better at one, you're better at the other, and vice versa. So in episodes 4 and 5, I outlaid, a lot of information about sort of how I sound the way I do when I play, and what I think is important as a teacher and a performer in the area of tone production and sound. And so I invite you to go back to episodes 4 and 5 and look at that. Those were more general sort of issues on tone production, relaxation, sort of body stuff. And so I thought, just to kind of get back to the show's roots, I thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the specifics that maybe I didn't get to back then. And so today we're going to talk about some barriers, some technical barriers. It's stuff that happens inside the hand with the Stevens style of playing. And I apologize if you're a cross-grip player. I hope that you'll still find this useful, because you'll undoubtedly teach at some point someone who's playing Stevens grip. But as I teach as many students as I do, I see two things primarily that I want to address today. And so that's today's axiom, and that's just having to relate to the issue of barriers. As a teacher, my primary goal, I think in general, is to identify problem areas, or what I call barriers, to a student's natural musicianship surfacing. So that's really what I think is my most important job. And just remember that last statement, because I'm going to ask a question of the episode that sort of dovetails with that. So, these barriers can be anything. There's many usually. One, for example, could be tension, body position. But I also see some smaller technical issues that what I would call barriers. And again, a barrier is what inhibits the natural musicianship of a student or a performer from naturally occurring. And that's what we want. We want there to be nothing that gets in the way of that process of musicianship happening in a student. So, two things specifically in regards to Stevens grip that I see. The first thing is that the hand position is sometimes not where it should be. Okay, what I see most commonly is a situation where the hand is turned too far at an angle. You can see how the angle of my hand here is sort of turned this way, too close, sort of on an angle this way, when really it should be completely perpendicular. And so when we talk about double vertical strokes, that's what's most important. Okay, so it's very common for me to see a hand that's kind of turned over at this angle rather than being straight on this angle. And I think the easiest way I've found to fix that as a teacher is to have the student lay the mallets just flat on the keyboard and have them turn their wrists left and right, sort of opposite. So you're going to turn your hands towards the center and to the outside. Okay, and you want to find that point, and this is all happening with the mallets laying on the keyboard. You want to find that point where there's perpendicular, where each hand is perpendicular. You can see here, this is the right position, to the floor. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to set up perfectly where the mallets need to be inside the hand. All right, so if I've got this set correctly, I've got my hand perpendicular to the floor. All right, there's a 90-degree angle from here to where the floor is. And so if you look at it from this way, I'll put it up close so you can see it. That's what it should look like. You can see the mallets are perfectly parallel left to right. If I come over here, show you a closer look, the sticks almost cross in the hand. Here's the outside one, or the inside one kind of going down. Here's the outside one going this direction. Okay, so that's actually what it should look like. And then from this way, you'll see it even more. So what's incorrect I see a lot is this, where the hand is turned over. And I think sometimes that happens because if you don't have this, if you have the angle going straight, you see how much higher this sits in the hand. If this goes straight, then the only way to get them to connect to the keyboard at the same time is to turn. Okay? So by laying it flat on the keyboard, you can get that angle just right. But it's very, very important in double vertical stroke, and also in the single independent stroke as well as the double lateral stroke. If you're unfamiliar with these terms, you can check out Lee Stevens' book, Method of Movement, where he goes into detail about each of those. But this whole grip is really, really based on the fact that you have to have your hand perpendicular to the keyboard. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing that I see a lot is a finger stroke. It's what I call a finger stroke. And that's when a stroke happens primarily in the fingers. All right, so here's what a finger stroke could look like. And I see it most often in the outside mallet. Okay, here the fulcrum actually is in the fingers. You can see you can see the fulcrum happening right in there. All right, so I see this quite often actually. Notice my wrist is not moving. All right, and that causes all kinds of problems in this grip. Rotation issues where one mallet's moving a lot more than the other. This is always going to be the stronger mallet in that case because it's swinging from such higher levels, and this one's always going to be weaker. All right. So if we've got both these problems with the hand turned over too far and you're swinging on the outside, you've got major, major problems, especially when it comes to doing rolls and roll types, especially rolls like the ripple roll. Will also hurt you in sequential sticking patterns going up and down the instrument. Okay, so those are the two big problems I see. So just to review, the first problem I see often is the hand not being perfectly perpendicular to the floor. To fix that, you set your mallets on the keyboard and rotate left and right till you find that place. This configuration where the mallet, inside mallet goes down, outside mallet goes up. Then the second issue I see is finger stroke. So if the fulcrum's not supposed to happen in the hand, then where does it happen? Well, fulcrum only happens in the wrist. So if I'm doing double vertical, then it's only happening this way. Everything in the hand in this instance is completely locked down. If I'm doing a single independent stroke, then the fulcrum is also in the wrist and it's through a rotation. Double lateral or single independent. All right. Now, if this isn't solidified in that 90-degree angle to the floor, and if the sticks are sloppy and moving around in the hand, none of those two wrist fulcrum strokes can really work at all. So there are two barriers that I most commonly see in students when they play marimba with Stevens grip. If you do that, I'd like for you to personally check each of those things with a mirror or a video camera like I'm doing here, just to kind of give yourself a check. And if you're a teacher, certainly you can be looking for those things. Those are the two most important things I think that if you can either do personally or make sure your students are doing, you'll be in good shape. So, see, I love teaching. I get going, and I hope that was coherent for you. Question of the episode is I'd like to know what you think are the top, 1, 2, 3 things that you try to do as a teacher. I know a lot of teachers out there that watch this show, and it doesn't have to be with four mallet marimba. It can be if you want that. I'm just, part of the reason I created this show is not only to get my ideas out there to you guys, but also hear yours. That's what interaction is all about. That's a big thing with this show. So I encourage you to leave comments at thomasburritt.tumblr.com. So I'm really curious what you guys think about that, about some of these issues, or what you think is most important as a teacher. So there's the question of the episode. Looking for ideas for shows. So if you guys please let me know if you have some good ideas. You can @tburritt me on Twitter, or catch me on Facebook, or email tburritt1971@gmail.com. Would love to hear topics that you are interested about me covering, or whatever. I'm open to anything at this point. So cool. Thank you guys so much. I'm so appreciative of you watch the show. Please tell your friends about it. And that's all for today. We'll see you next time.